Hello and welcome, everyone, to Good Old Rocky Talk, a Vol Society podcast. I'm your host, Brad, here with my partners, the Davids. We're glad you're listening wherever you are. This is Good Old Rocky Talk. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode 4 of Good Old Rocky Talk. I'm your host, Brad Frank, along with my partners, David Dees and David Morrison. Guys, how are we doing tonight?
Well, we've been better, but we're here tonight, and we're going to talk all about what we saw Saturday night.
Yeah, Dees, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah, man, I'm doing okay. I tell you, I'm recovering from the weekend, but bright side of things, my Falcons are 2-0.
Yeah.
And my son won his football game Saturday, so
Yeah.
not everything's terrible.
Well, congratulations on your Falcons. That's exciting. I wish I could say the same for Tennessee football Saturday night in the swamp. But we're going to get into that here in just a moment, guys. It was obviously it was a tough weekend. It was a tough loss. It was very tough. But why don't we go ahead and get into that? We'll get into our first segment, recapping the Tennessee-Florida game. Oh, guys. Not the outcome we were looking for. It's now Monday night. It's when we record our podcast. We've had a couple of days to just ponder and think about this game and everything that happened in that game. And so by now you should know, Florida Gators won the game 29-16. Yeah, I have a lot of concerns. I'm sure you guys do as well. So let's go ahead and talk about that. First, I'll go over a few of the stats just to kind of get those out of the way, and then I think we need to have a discussion because I'm worried. You guys might not be as worried as I am, but I'm a little worried right now, and let's just say some things need to be turned around and turned around quickly. Okay. But just going back to some of the highlights, Joe Milton, he was 20 of 34, 287 yards, I believe, with 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Now, not a terrible game for Joe. Not a terrible game. I mean, you look at the numbers, that's not terrible. That's the least of my worries right now, but it is a worry. We're going to talk about Joe Milton a little bit later. But that's the least of my worries after Saturday night. Jalen Wright, 16 carries, 63 yards. Jabari Small, 7 carries for 35 yards. And you know what? Are you guys a little shocked that Dylan Sampson didn't get in at all in that game Saturday?
I am quite a bit.
Isn't that interesting? Why? Why did that happen? And did you watch?
Heupel didn't really have much of an answer for it today at his press conference.
Bingo.
It was.
He didn't.
He kind of eluded that question. Yeah, very odd that you wouldn't get him out there, especially considering the early success he's had this season.
Well, and another thing, I'm now sitting here wondering what's going on in that locker room, and in particular, is Sampson upset that he didn't get playing time? I'm sure you saw the social media pic that he posted on his, it might have been Instagram or Twitter. I'm trying to decipher that still. It was something like wasn't it like of a tiger or something in a cage or
Looks like a cheetah in a cage.
A cheetah in a cage, and people are talking about that. What does he mean by that? What is this about? And some people are saying it's referencing him. He's feeling caged up, didn't get playing time. I don't know, but there's a lot of talk going around. So that's one question I have about Saturday night. Why did he not get in the rotation? Very weird. Going to the go ahead.
I'm sure he's frustrated, but at the same time, I mean, it's a team loss.
It is. It is.
And it's concerning to see so many guys, being looking inward, instead of looking outward. He's going to get his carries. I don't know why he didn't Saturday. He deserved them. He should have been on the field, but I don't love the social media stuff after the game. That's just me. I'm old school.
No, I agree. I'm the same way. And now you got all these people talking about it, spreading the word and sharing it, and you have all this crap being said online. I don't like it either. And quickly, let's talk about the wide receivers real quick. We had Brew. I think he led the team, 5 for 94 yards, 1 touchdown. Squirrel White got in there for 3 for 67 yards, I think. Dante Thornton had a few, 3, I believe, for 53, and Ramel Keaton, 3 as well for 39, I think, and 1 touchdown, unless I'm mistaken. Morrison, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's kind of how that kind of broke out. So now that we went over some of the stats with you, let's talk about this loss, guys, because I really do want to talk about this. I don't want to sit here and gripe and be that kind of guy who's just super upset because we lost. For me, guys, it's how we lost the game. I thought it was sloppy, undisciplined football Saturday night. And I know we talk about Joe Milton a lot, and don't get me wrong, he needs to step it up, period. Okay, but he didn't have the worst game, in my opinion. Yeah, did he have a great game? Nah, I wouldn't call it a great game, but it wasn't horrid from Joe. But gosh, guys, talk to me about our offense and our defense Saturday night. I want to hear from you. To me, it was atrocious. David Morrison.
Yeah, like you said, it was just bad all the way around, both sides of the ball. You look at the offensive line, and I guess probably the big thing everybody's kind of talking about is the absence of Cooper Mays. You got Ollie Lane at center, and unfortunately, Ollie Lane had probably the worst game of his Tennessee career on one of the biggest stages all season. A lot of bad penalties all the way around. And
how many penalties did we have Saturday, Morrison? Is at least 10, right?
I believe so. Let me pull it up here on team stats here.
While he's looking that up, I mean,
yeah, I found it. 10 penalties for 79 yards.
That can't happen.
No.
That can't happen, guys. I don't know what is going on, but we've seen this 2 weeks in a row now. We played bad against Austin Peay. We all wrote that game off and said, you know what? They just didn't care about the game. We've heard all the talk. They weren't prepared. They didn't care. They were looking ahead. We can't say that anymore. That's 2 straight weeks of bad football.
No, I totally agree. You, like I said, you're now getting deep into these games, and you got to get rid of these early pre-snap penalties. Like I said, we're coming up on the 4th game right now, having situated down, and it's just a lot of dumb penalties. Yeah, there was a couple penalties that was very questionable, particularly the McAllen Castles blindside block penalty, which shouldn't have been called, but we digged ourselves in a big hole, especially in the second quarter. And then looking at the defensive side, bad tackling, just a lot of guys missing tackles and like diving at guys and just looking like a complete fool when they do it. And it was just a very bad effort. And to me, kind of the big takeaway is, and I hate to compare last year's team to this year's team because last year we but to me there is a very big absence of just guys who want to go out there and win. A lot of leadership is missing compared to last year's or this year's team. There's not a lot of these guys just don't have that will to win. It's just something's missing. I don't know unless you guys.
Well, and you're right. And you're right, Morrison. Not to cut you off, but you're right. And to your point, I have always been a firm believer in this. To me, especially on your offense, right? It always starts with your quarterback. Again, I'm not dissing Joe Milton, but what I am stating is you if you're going to be a good team, you really need a good quarterback who's disciplined, who is a leader, who your players want to play for this guy and they believe in him, and the quarterback can get them, riled up, ready to go each and every week. I think that's lacking with Joe Milton. That's my opinion. And I don't want to compare him to Hendon Hooker. Hendon Hooker, I mean, it's on another level last year, and we had it made with Hendon Hooker, but Hendon Hooker had that. I'm sorry, but he did. And I think that's one of the things that's missing on that offense. What do you think, man?
Yeah, well, just in terms of the game, I felt like it was just tough because we started off, you know, first of all, Florida had a great game plan and they executed it really well, especially in the first half. They wanted to run the football, take up time of possession, and try to give us as few plays as possible. And our first drive, we come out and we go right down the field, and that's the start we wanted. We block their field goal on their first possession, and then we come out and we score a touchdown, go right down the field on them. Joe Milton looks great,
Yeah.
and it was just awesome. And we're all thinking, okay, here we go. This is the kind of start we needed, and it just went downhill from there for the rest of the first half. Florida was able to control the football. They were able to run on our defense. Morrison referenced the missed tackles and the bad angles and missing their fits, and it was just just an uncharacteristic day for the defense. I think that's what's been so hard is that we were counting on our offense to kind of struggle this week and maybe not be as efficient yet because it's early in the year and we're still trying to figure it out. But we thought our defense was much further along and we expected them to be able to carry us down there. And so it was a rude awakening to find out that they couldn't do that. And
yeah, we were wrong.
Didn't love the defensive game plan. We got them in several especially on third downs. We got them in several third and long situations, and just they kept making play after play, hitting receivers wide open on the sidelines and soft coverage. Just a lot left to be desired from the defense. And then, you mentioned the pre-snap penalties and just kind of some of the undisciplined stuff, and you just can't go out and do that on the road. We saw them do that last year at South Carolina and at Georgia, and we lost both those games because we had uncharacteristically undisciplined penalties, and that stuff will just get you beat on the road every time in the SEC. So it was an up and down game. And then in the second half, I was kind of encouraged. I felt like our offense settled in. They started making some plays. The defense clamped down a little bit more, and I know Florida probably got a little conservative, and we seemed like we made it a little more difficult for them on third downs. But yeah, just all in all, not a great performance. And you guys touched on it. It just goes to show like how much we miss some of our guys from last year. It's tough when you lose a Hendon Hooker, you lose a Jalen Hyatt, you lose a Cedric Tillman, you lose a Jerome Carvin. That's a Darnell Wright. That's hard to replace those guys. But I think we just had in our heads, because of the bowl game last year against Clemson, without a lot of those guys, we just had in our heads that, well, Heupel's going to figure out a way to make it work. And we've just been blindly trusting over and over that Heupel's going to be able to make it work. It doesn't matter who's at quarterback. It doesn't matter that you lost your lineman. We're going to figure out a way to make it work. And up until this point, he's kind of been that kind of guy. He's been a miracle worker, and we've all seen him that way.
Yeah.
We've seen him as a guy that can come in and he's turned our program around. We have blind trust. Whatever he says, we trust it.
Yeah.
And this is the first time that we've really seen some chinks in the armor, and that his team has looked so poor on 2 consecutive weeks. So just, not a great effort.
Well, and I'll tell you this, and yeah, you said it best. Heupel, since he's been here, he's really been that guy, right, where things have just gone right for him. He's kind of been on cloud 9, just because, he hasn't had a lot of heat from the fan base or the university. And I'm not saying he does now either, but what I am saying is Saturday night, excuse me, in my opinion, was a huge eye opener for Josh Heupel. And I totally believe in this guy. I know he's a great coach. I know he's gonna rebound from this. But I think Saturday night was like a wow moment for him. And he knows. I saw it in the presser today that he gave. He was much more serious, as he should be. His face, he had like it's like a stoic face, and just he was not. You could tell he was hurt by this.
Which
You
is
could
what he
tell it
should
really
be.
hurt
I
him.
mean, we'd be really angry if he came out there and acted like everything was okay. I mean, he
Oh,
handled the day
sure.
like he should have, you know.
He did, and you can tell he's bothered by it. And you know what? Good. I mean, it's good for him. Because the truth is, we got out coached, we got outplayed Saturday night. That is period. We can talk about the penalties all, the refs and all that all night long, and how they, whatever. I agree. They had some bad calls. The refs did, but we lost that game. Coaches did, players did. Period. Hats off to Billy Napier. He came out with a game plan, dominated that game plan. So, bottom line is, we've talked enough about it, but I'll say that bottom line is it's got to be fixed, and it's got to be fixed.
And he said
quick.
it today. It's a game of details, and it's those small details that this
Yeah.
team, for whatever reason, on both sides of the ball, they're just not executing right now.
That's right.
And I hope
That's
that's
right.
stuff that we can get cleaned up. I think it is, but I mean, 2 weeks in a row we've played losing football.
No, it's bad football. 2 weeks, 2 straight weeks. I mean, this is. Listen, I'm worried. I'm going to go ahead and put it out there to you. It's not one game. It's just 2 straight games, and I'm worried. I'm very worried, but I have no choice but to have faith in Heupel and the coaching staff that they're gonna work through this and figure it out. And if somebody's is not up to par, then I trust that Heupel's going to take care of that and sit the person and put somebody else in and switch it up. I have trust and faith that he's going to do that. But yeah, just a bad night, guys. It was a bad night of football, and what's done is done, right? Let's move on and hope for a better year. That's all we can do for a better season. All right, guys. Anything else on that Florida game, or do you want to move on?
I'm just ready to move on.
Let's move on.
Yeah, thank you very much. I've had enough of that. Thank you. Let's go to our second segment, guys. What did we learn this past week in college football? Well, I mean, I learned a lot Saturday, guys. Not only about our Vols and where we are right now, but if I had to say one of the biggest things that I took away from Saturday football, man, I guess I would say, I guess I would want to highlight all these highly ranked teams who had trouble this past Saturday. It's not so. I guess the good news is it's not just Tennessee struggling. That's the good news. College football is crazy right now, guys. I've never seen it like this. FSU, what were they ranked before the game Saturday? What were they ranked?
They were number 3 in the country.
Number 3 in the country. They barely beat a Boston College. 31-29. Alabama. What were they ranked, Morrison, before the game?
Number 10? I can't find the...
Okay, yeah. Top 10 team. Had trouble with South Florida? 17-3? What the heck? And then, to beat it all, Georgia, were they ranked number 1? Yes, they still are. Georgia, the number 1 team in the country, has trouble with South Carolina? They won 24-14, but come on. College football is crazy right now. So that's the good news. It's not just Tennessee. That's a little sigh of relief for you. If we can just fix some of these things, we're not the only ones who's struggling right now, guys. It's all across the board. I mean, each week, this is anybody's game each week. College football is crazy. That's what I take away from last week. You got me fired up now. This is crazy. Morrison, what'd you take away from last week?
Yeah, I echo what you're saying. I mean, this is a crazy start to the season. You got, you don't really have a dominant team in college football. I guess probably the 2 most consistent teams after 3 weeks have been Michigan and Washington. But they haven't hit the heart of their conference play yet. But Georgia's got kinks in the armor a little bit. Like they were down to South Carolina at home. They did pull off the win. Alabama, they have no idea who their quarterback is. Went down to Tampa, played Alex Golish's South Florida Bulls, and South Florida was hanging in there with them, but they got some major quarterback issues at Alabama, and they got a big time matchup with a hot Ole Miss team that blew out Georgia Tech on Saturday. You mentioned Florida State playing Boston College. Of course, Boston College always has that red bandana game right after 9/11, so it's always kind of a highly emotional home field advantage. And like I said, Florida State did not look hot either. It's just crazy to think like just there's just not a dominant team right now. Even a couple weeks ago, Ohio State struggled against Indiana. I mean, that's just kind of the big takeaway. And then you look at look at Colorado. That's been the college football darlings the last 3 weeks. In the Rocky Mountain Showdown with Colorado State, went to double overtime. It was a great game. It was also a very, a high intense scene there.
Hey, Morrison, question for you.
Yes.
Whether you like the guy or not, just question, guys. Deion Sanders, he's the greatest coach in college football, man. Yes or no?
He's definitely the most entertaining coach out there, and I've been.
All right, let me ask you this: have you seen their schedule? Their next, I want to say, next 3 or 4 games.
Yeah. They go to Oregon on Saturday, and
then where?
Then they host USC at home.
Then what?
And then they go to Arizona State. And they're going to be out with Travis Hunter is not going to play in the next 3 games.
Who do they have after that?
I can't remember off the top of my head.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this: if they win their next 3 games,
mm-hmm.
is Deion Sanders one of the best coaches in college football today?
Yes. I mean,
hey, am I over the hype on Deion Sanders? Yes. That's all you hear about.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But I'm going to tell you right now, sorry that we're talking about this, but I just had to bring this up because it is pretty crazy, man. I know it's wild stuff, but I'm going to tell you right now, if this guy wins his next 3 games, this guy's one of the greatest coaches in college football, buddy.
Yeah. I mean,
it's crazy. This is crazy.
You're already seeing just kind of the buzz around it. They had game day and Big Noon Saturday, and you had Lil Wayne there and The Rock and Migos and all these rappers there. I mean, like I said, there's a buzz there.
It's a performance.
Yeah. I mean,
you got Lil Wayne coming out. This guy's coming out rapping.
I know. And last year at Tennessee, we had people writing country songs about Tennessee football. So it's you talk about a counterculture. I mean, college football's the best.
It's wild.
Yeah,
it's wild. It's wild.
But that's kind of what I learned. It's just there's not any dominant teams, but that's a good thing, especially even with the doom and gloom of Tennessee. It's going to bring some entertaining games every Saturday.
These.
You know what I love is when Deion comes out from the tunnel to start the game, and those black cowboys wearing the black cowboy hats and all black. Oh, it's amazing. I love it. It's so cool.
It is amazing.
It's so cool.
That dude is wild, man.
And that game had more intensity. I thought it was going to turn into an all-out brawl. I thought the fans were going to be brawling.
Buddy, I thought the brawl was happening before the game even started. Man, there was so much going on. Man, I tell you, man, this is some entertaining stuff, man.
But it was excellent television. If you flipped over and watched it,
of course it is. It's a performance. Yeah. These guys are out there performing.
Yeah.
On and off the field. Man, this is crazy.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm sorry. I do love it. It's a
great story. I'm kind of worn out by the way the media is covering it, but the story itself, I love it. It's great.
Absolutely.
And I love Deion. Yeah.
Nah, man, I love Deion, and I'm gonna tell you, man, he's got some hard ones coming up, as I just said. But I'm gonna tell you right now, buddy, this guy can, if he wins his next 3, man, I'm telling you right now, this is crazy. That's all I'm gonna say about that. David, what else did you learn? David D's Saturday.
Yeah, just like you guys, there's nobody out there that looks unbeatable, especially within the SEC. So as bad as we feel about Tennessee's losses, I mean, and don't get me wrong, there's a lot that's got to change, and we're probably not as good as we thought we were or hope we were going to be coming into this year. But there's not really a team
Yeah.
out there that you look at on our schedule that you're like, if we don't play well, we can't beat that team, you know? So
You're
we've got to
right.
get some
You're
stuff
right.
straightened out. We got to get Cooper Mays back and healthy. There's a lot that still can be, improved, and a lot to look forward to if we can get it corrected. But big ifs, but no one out there scares you. And I'm like Morrison. I really like this Washington team. They manhandled Michigan State over the weekend. Of course, they've got a lot of problems going on with Mel Tucker now being fired
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
cause. But that Washington team with
Right.
Michael Penix at quarterback is very good. I enjoyed watching them last year, and I think this year, they're even better. A
Yeah.
lot of those teams out west are really good, and I've enjoyed watching it. So it's been kind of a down year for the SEC, but I've enjoyed watching some of these other teams play from other conferences. And obviously Texas continued to get the win after beating Alabama, so they're keeping things going. But
Yeah.
and Notre Dame and Ohio State this week's a big one. I'm looking forward to that one. If Notre Dame can get that win, then
Absolutely. Then
they're gonna shoot to everybody's as a
You better
playoff
believe
contender
it.
up everybody's list. So, and I hope they get
Yeah.
it. I hope they get it. I hope they beat Ohio
I do
State this
too.
weekend.
I agree. I do too. Man, college football is wild. It is crazy, man. All right, let's go to our third. Let's go to our third segment, guys. The mailbag section. I like the mailbag section. It's my favorite. Get to hear from you, the fans of Vol Society. If you're listening right here, this is good old Rocky Top. We are a part of our social media platform, Vol Society. So please go find us on Facebook, Twitter, X, whatever it's called now, YouTube, anywhere on social media at Vol Society. We're huge on Facebook, over almost 43,000 loyal followers right now. So this is where we get our questions from. So let's go ahead and get to the mailbag section. Glenn, we go to Glenn from Cookeville, Tennessee. Thank you, Glenn, for tuning in and reaching out. He asks, as of today, who are your 4 teams to play in the playoffs this season? That is an awesome question. I haven't even really given that much thought to it, especially given how crazy the year has been so far. That's a great question. All right, so as of right now, guys, Glenn wants to know our top 4 teams that's going into that playoff. That is a good question. I'll tell you what. How about we all just take turns and we'll go one by one here. I'll start with one off the top of my head right now. I'm going to go Notre Dame. I'm not even kidding you. I'm going to say Notre Dame. Morrison, give me one.
Texas.
Texas would have been one of mine too, I think. D's, give me one.
I'll give you Washington, just as I mentioned a second ago.
Dang, man. You guys are really on that Washington team. Wow. And they are good. All right. I'll give you another one. Let's see. I would have said Texas, so Morrison got that. I'm going to give you a different one. I'm going to go, God, 4. Who else? I'm going to say USC. Morrison, give me another one.
The 2-time defending national champion Georgia Bulldogs.
Yeah, that would be my next one. Even though they had a close game with South Carolina last week, that would be my 4th. So my 4 have been said now. Is there anybody on your list still left, guys?
Only one I would submit also would be Florida State. Just because I don't think they have a very difficult schedule. They play Clemson this week. That's a big game for
You're
them.
right.
If they can get back
You're
past
right.
Clemson, I don't see many roadblocks in front of them.
Yep. That's a good point. Morrison?
Yeah, I have Georgia, Texas, Florida State, and Michigan.
And Michigan. Okay. No, that's a good one as well. All right. Hope that answers your question, Glenn. But as we know, gosh, you just don't know. That's the thing. That's what we know. You just don't know. This season, we're week 3, and this has been crazy already.
We could have
Let's go to our next.
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Brad.
go
I was
ahead.
just going to say we could
You're
have
good.
a repeat of 2007 when it was just all chaos every week and all these number two
Yeah.
teams falling. I mean, this could be the closest we've got since '07.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's crazy, man. Let's go to our next question from Wendy. She joins us from Copper Basin, Tennessee. Good old Copper Basin. Home of the what, Morrison?
Oh,
Who is Copper Basin?
Is it Eagles?
What's their high school team? D's, do you know?
I think in the Indians.
Is it the Indians? Copper
Something
Basin.
like that, maybe.
I just know
Indians,
that yeah, they play Polk County. That's their big rival every year, and they usually meet like the first couple of weeks.
God, look it up, Morrison. Now I gotta know.
All right,
Copper Basin. Did we play them at one point? Football, or was that Little League football? Like Copper Basin. Copper Basin Indians? I don't know if that sounds right. Wendy, we're looking this up for you because I feel bad if we don't know this.
Cougars.
Cougars! That's it.
Way off. Yeah.
Indians was
maybe I confuse them with Sequoia or something. I don't know.
All right. It's all right.
It's all good. I just know you got to watch the speed limit when you're down in Copper Basin.
Oh, of course you do.
And
all right, Wendy from Copper Basin, home of the Cougars. She asked on Facebook, do you have more confidence in the offense or the defense after 3 games? That's a good question.
Great question, Wendy. And speaking of Wendy, have you guys seen this new pumpkin spice Frosty they have out for a limited time at Wendy's?
And no, we are not sponsored by Wendy's. But please go out to your local Wendy's.
Yeah.
Please go out to your local Wendy's and enjoy this pumpkin spice. What is it? Frosty?
Pumpkin spice Frosty for a limited time only.
At Wendy's for a limited time.
Check your local Wendy's. Yeah.
Check your local Wendy's. All right, back to the question. This is getting way off topic. I don't know what we're doing here, guys. All right. So she asked, do you have more confidence in the offense or the defense after 3 games? Hey, Wendy, it's a great question. And I never thought I would even say this. And this is going to sound bad of me, guys. I don't really have a lot of confidence on either side of the ball after the past 2 weeks. I'm not kidding you. I'm not trying to sound mean here. I'm being honest. I'm answering the question. I don't have a lot of confidence right now. What I've seen so far this year, I can't give you that answer. I don't have confidence right now on offense or defense, Wendy. Offense, my 2 biggest concerns are the O-line and the consistency of Joe Milton in his decision-making. Defense, I can't believe how undisciplined this team looked Saturday. Arm tackling all night. Just looked completely out of whack against Florida. I can't give you that's the best answer I'm going to be able to provide to you, Wendy. I don't know. I'm at a loss right now.
Yeah, I don't.
Maybe somebody else can give you a better answer. David Dees, what do you got, man?
I don't know that I have confidence in either one right now. I do think this. I think there's more reason for optimism on the offensive side of the ball because we've been playing without Cooper Mays. I think getting him back will make a huge difference.
Yeah.
Plus, Josh Heupel's an offensive guy. I still believe that he's going to get this fixed. I think he's going to get it turned around. Now, is it going to be as productive as we were last year? Obviously not. But I do think we've got a strong running game that we can rely on in situations. And I think getting Cooper Mays back in this offense is going to help with tempo. It's going to help with the offensive line and making sure that those guys are where they need to be and blocking who they need to block. And I just think having him out there is going to make a big difference. So I think these receivers and Joe Milton can get into a better rhythm as we go.
Let me ask you this, David.
Yeah.
So you say having Cooper back. That's, don't get me wrong, he's a great athlete. He's obviously our best lineman. But and I'm just asking, can he really make that big of a difference for us just having one guy back? Do you think so?
I think he can. I think he's a leader on that offense. I think he controls the tempo by the way he gets to the line of scrimmage, and he can make things go.
Yeah.
I think he's big, and Ollie Lane clearly is somebody that they want to move to off center. He's just not as good at center. He had a couple of penalties this last week too. So not to pick on Ollie Lane, it is what it is. He's doing what he's been asked to do. But I just think time
Yeah.
will help this offense. I think this offense is not in rhythm yet, but I think it can get in rhythm. The reason I say that is I have more optimism because the defense kind of is what it is. They're not really missing anybody. They're missing Keenan Peely, which it showed against Florida, and we desperately needed him. But I mean, he's going
Oh,
to be out for half
we
the
need
year.
him back.
Yeah, he's going to be
Oh,
out for half the year. So I mean, you don't
is
know
it
if the guy
really
has
half the year?
yeah, they're talking like
He's
October, mid-season
oh
maybe.
god, awful.
So that's a huge loss. But then,
Yeah.
and they've got these young DBs that I feel like are probably going to be pretty good. They were highly rated recruits, but for whatever reason, Willie Martinez and Tim Banks continue to play the older guys. Your Kamal Haddons, your Jalen McCulloughs, and no disrespect to those guys, but I'm ready to see some new folks back there. Warren Burrell got the start the other day. He played a lot at the other corner. They're going with these older guys who play in soft coverage and who were able to get picked apart the other night on the sidelines, just not knowing situations. They're arm tackling out there. I hate to call guys out, but it just is what it is. I felt like um, I would like to see them play younger guys. And I just don't know I don't know if Tim Banks is ever going to be willing to do that. And so as long as they keep rolling the same secondary out there, the same secondary from the last 2 years, if they keep putting those guys out there, we're going to have a hard time getting off the field on third downs because they give up so many plays in the secondary.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, I hate to call people out, but I'm sorry. I think everyone saw this. This arm tackling crap, it's got to stop. And I don't mean to call someone out, but we all saw it. It was a big play too. Kamal Haddon, did you see that? Where he had a chance to make a play. This was junior high stuff that I saw. He just reached. It's like flag football for him. I don't understand, and it wasn't just him. It was others, but that one stood out to me the most. Like, where are we practicing this? Like, come on, you got to fix this stuff.
It's been going on for years. I mean,
You got to stop.
yeah, even before Heupel got there. I mean, we've been a terrible tackling team for 2 or 3 coaching staffs, and I don't know
Well, you know
how they're
what? It's
teaching.
unacceptable.
I agree.
And other teams get it right. What's going on? So hey, just fix it. That's all we need to do. That's all we can say, guys. All we can do is give our opinions and our thoughts. Does it really matter? No, but I'm going to give it to you because the fans want to hear this, and we're gonna tell you like it is. Just fix it. All right. I would say that to the coaches. I love you guys. I have faith in Heupel. I have faith in Tim Banks and all those guys. But listen, we have an issue right now. We got to fix it. Anyways, all right. Sorry, I'm getting heated, guys. Let's go to our next question. All right. Let's go to Wyatt. Wyatt from Von Orr, Tennessee. How we doing, Wyatt from Von Orr, Tennessee? How far is that from you, Morrison?
About 25 minutes.
Not far.
No, not too far. There's a really good pizzeria in Von Orr called
Give them a shout out.
I think it's called the Pizzeria Venti. I hope
Let's
I got
go.
that right.
The Pizzeria Venti.
Yeah, it's right on Highway 411. That's the way I go when I go to Knoxville. I'm not an interstate guy. I'm the highway back roads, 35-mile-an-hour town, and I drive by there going to the games. I've never stopped there, but I'm going to try one day.
Pizzeria Venti, giving you a shout out in Von Orr, Tennessee, if you're listening.
They've also got a nice pizza. McDonald's in Von Orr. It's connected to a gas station. Really should stop by there if you're ever through there.
Look at that. Convenient. Get in there, grab you a few gallons of gas.
Right by the Save-A-Lot.
Grab a few gallons of gas and just walk right next door after you pay and grab a Big Mac.
You got to watch out. Those Tellico Village folks are in there all the time. They'll be a little snooty. It's okay. Just be kind to them anyway.
What you got to do is be kind. Let's be kind. Man, Von Orr got it going on. What I'm talking about. All right, Wyatt, who's probably listening to us right now, eating a Big Mac, just grab some gas at the gas station. We appreciate you, buddy. What's your biggest reason for optimism and this season improving? What's your biggest reason for optimism this season improving? I kind of hinted on it earlier, Wyatt. It's a good question. I appreciate you, buddy. I'm still behind my guy, Josh Hype. I'm Coach Hype all the way. The only, as of right now, my only biggest reason for optimism and improving this season is because I believe in him. I believe in everything he's doing there in Knoxville. I really do. I think this game Saturday really got to him, and he knows that he has to fix these issues and fix them fast. And I think he's going to do that on both sides of the ball. I have faith he's going to work things out, and I have faith that he will play the right guys that should be playing. So that's my biggest reason for optimism, getting better this season. God, I hope I'm right too. I really do. Morrison.
Well, I guess I'm the optimistic one of the crew here.
Oh, Morrison is our optimistic guy. Let me tell you that right now. Tennessee could have gotten beat 1,000 to 2,
mm-hmm.
and he'd be like, "Man, I still think we got the guys to get it done."
I am not only a glass half full guy, I may be the whole cup full. Even if I don't.
Oh, you probably are. It's all right. It's all right. We got to have somebody like that.
Yeah. That's just.
Go ahead. Let's hear it.
All right. I think probably my biggest optimism, which can also be a little concern, is just with the SEC kind of being down. We've seen teams struggle all year, so I guess kind of my optimism is, can Tennessee flip that switch? And I think we got the talent to flip that switch. And I know I've talked to some people in the last couple of days, and everybody's readjusting their win-loss total. And I've had some people say, 6-6, 7-5. I said, I think we got the talent better to go 6-6 and 7-5. I just think, if we can flip that switch, and the way the SEC has just kind of been down, South Carolina coming in a couple of weeks, we can go out there and blow them out, and something else could happen. Texas A&M, they've struggled already. Maybe pick up some wins at home, and then even Alabama. And I've mentioned this on Vol Society Live, and I may have mentioned it here on the podcast. Alabama is not the big bad wolf of the SEC. They don't have that intimidation factor. And when I love Alice Gola. She was our offensive coordinator last year, but when a 2-10 South Florida Bull team is right in the thick of things, exchanging some blows with Alabama, the score was not what they want, but if they're hanging in there, what makes you think, even some of these middle tier SEC teams, they're like, man, if South Florida can get a win, and we saw what happened with Tennessee did to Alabama last year, why can't we go in there and win? And I think even Tennessee be like, hey, why not run that back last year? And I'm not saying that we're going to go to Tuscaloosa and win, but I just think, you're dealing with 18 to 22-year-old kids who have waves of emotion each and every week. And, maybe just like I said, you thinking, hey, we can go down there and win. We can spoil that party. Or, hey, they're coming to our place. Let's not get embarrassed. And that's probably my biggest optimism, is just the SEC just kind of in question and in limbo. Who's, I think Georgia's definitely still the top team in the East, but like the SEC West has got some questions. And then even like 2 through 7 in the SEC East, it's just going to be kind of an up and down. And, who's going to rise to the occasion. I think Tennessee has the talent and has the coaching staff to still salvage some sort of a season, even with the Florida loss.
Glass half full, folks. Glass half full, folks. That's what you just got right now, guys. That glass was full. It's overflowing. That's what just happened there. Fantastic, Morrison. Fantastic. I like it, man. I really do. And you're right. Let's go down there to Bama and, what'd you say? Run it back.
Yeah, run it back. It's like, you saw what Texas did just recently. They went down to Tuscaloosa. they had a chance to win on their home field in last season and just came up 1 point short of doing it. But then they went down there and snapped that long winning streak they had kind of going down there. And, I just think, yeah, Bryant Denny Stadium, they're going to have some ravage Alabama fans. And, yeah, they're going to be ready to go. But I just think you're going to see teams that are like, hey, if we're just, mature enough and don't do pre-snap penalties, unfortunately, we didn't do that with Florida. But if you can kind of go down there with Alabama's quarterback situation, why not do it again? So,
hey, man. All right, David Dees. Let's hear your answer to Wyatt, who's now having him a milkshake at the McDonald's after his burger, his Big Mac fries. Can you believe that the milkshake machine is working there? Bonner's got it going on, because that thing's never working at McDonald's. Woo! All right, David Dees, what's your biggest reason for optimism? Let's hear it.
Bourbon. No,
Boom.
I would say
Boom! Bourbon!
No, my biggest reason for optimism, a lot like Morrison, I just look at the SEC and the teams coming up on our schedule that's left. And the fact that we get South Carolina, A&M, and Georgia, 3 of those harder teams all at home. That's a reason for optimism. I mentioned earlier not having Cooper Mays for the first few games, I think has really hurt us. Getting him back, I think, can really boost our offense.
Yeah.
And I just think that we still have a lot of mistakes to clean up, but they are correctable. And I don't know. I just think these next 2 weeks are very, very important. If we can come out and beat San Antonio and then come out and beat South Carolina and play well, we're going to be having renewed optimism. We're going to be looking forward to the rest of the season. If we cannot do that and we come out and lay an egg in either game or play poorly in both games, then the reason for optimism is definitely going to diminish. I think these next 2 weeks are pivotal for this team to not give up, to not quit after Florida, to keep their eyes on where they're trying to go. And if they can do that and survive these next couple of weeks, there's still going to be a lot of fun left to be had this season.
Love the optimism. So does everyone else. You guys are killing it. You guys are killing it. We got another half glass, half full. Listen at the crowd. This is crazy. You hearing this, everyone? Woo! Fantastic.
I don't think I've ever gotten that long of an applause for anything in my life, so thank you for that.
Fantastic. I mean, we have optimism right now. I'm glad you guys have it. Woo! You guys are encouraging me to get some optimism. But man, fantastic. I like it, guys. All right. Well, I hope you're right. And that's a great question. All right, guys, let's go to our final segment for the night. Man, you guys got me all optimistic now. This is crazy. Man, those are awesome. Final segment. Thoughts on the UTSA game and score predictions. Hey, I'm going to tell you right now, I never thought I would say this at the beginning of the season, but we've had 2 bad weeks. 2 weeks. And I'm concerned. Your boy Brad's got some concerns here. Let me tell you what I think is going to happen. I think we will get the win. But you heard it from me. Don't be surprised if this game is somewhat similar as that Austin Peay game in terms of score. I'm not kidding you. First of all, and I'll say this, UTSA, they're not a bad team. They're really not. Okay? And I'm going to tell you this. If we play like we did last week, I mean, again, we get the win, I think. But you're going to have a closer game than you think. So here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say Tennessee goes out there Saturday, and they're going to put up 44 points against UTSA. And UTSA is going to put up 27. 44-27. That's my score prediction. David Morrison.
Yeah, so I caught a little bit of UTSA. They were playing Friday night while I was same time watching McMinn and Oak Ridge play. UTSA, kind of like us, once again, kind of the trend, a team that had a lot of optimism coming into this season. They made the transition from Conference USA, now then in the American Conference. They brought back pretty much their entire offense, including the school's all-time leading passer, Frank Harris. Unfortunately, Frank Harris got injured already this season. Looks like he's done for the year. So now they're running with Eddie Lee Marburger at quarterback. And he put up a pretty valiant effort against a really tough Army team. He was 17 for 25, 239 yards, 3 touchdowns. So our secondary's got to be ready for him, instead of Frank Harris. But, this, I kind of know what to expect a little bit, but at the same time, I really don't. So as far as the score prediction go, I'm going to kind of go with the averages a little bit, maybe add a little bit more. So Army won 37-29 Friday night. So I'm going to go Tennessee 38, UTSA 24. I just kind of, I think it's going to be similar to Austin Peay. You're probably going to have some, which I'll be at the game Saturday. I'm sure you're going to have some groans from the crowd, be like, what's going on? What's going on? But I think you'll see somewhat of a rejuvenant Tennessee team, but I still feel like you're probably still going to see kind of a very vanilla Tennessee team at the same time.
You got a somewhat close score. It's not close, but
yeah. Tennessee's a 20-point favorite right now, according to Vegas.
I'll tell you what. That's not a glass half full prediction from you there, Morris. I thought you were a glass half full guy. I think you have a little bit of hesitation going into this game.
I'm optimistic. I just think,
I'm just kidding.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. Giving you a hard time. All right. So give me that score again. What 38-24?
38-24 Tennessee.
All right, David Days. What do you got, buddy?
As of 4 hours ago, the San Antonio Express News says Frank Harris remains day-to-day for banged-up UTSA. So I guess there still is a chance that Frank Harris could play Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
If he does, UTSA will be in this ball game. Yeah. I'm going to go with it. I'm just going to assume he plays. So I'm going to say Tennessee 37, UTSA 27. I'll go 37-27, a 10-point win at home.
Wow.
I don't have really a lot of confidence to say we're going to blow this team out or blow anybody out. I need to see us play well for the first time in 3 weeks to have any kind of confidence to predict any us covering any spread or anything like that. I think there's a lot left to be desired from last week, and they're going to have to show us. So I'm not going to go ahead and just give them credit and say they're going to blow somebody out. I'm going to say 37-27. Offense looks better this week, relies on the run game. Hopefully the pass game gets improved and picks up a little bit. But 37-27 is my score prediction. And it's also worth noting, because of that brawl at the end of the Florida game, Omar Norman Lott is suspended for the first half against UTSA for his role in that. He's the only Tennessee player that was suspended out of that. 3 Florida players were suspended. 2 of their starting offensive linemen. Of course, they play Charlotte this next week, so it's not going to be a huge game or a huge loss. But anyway, Omar Norman Lott will miss the first half against UTSA.
Yeah. All right, there you have it, guys. Score predictions are out. And from what I can tell from all of our scores, we're still not 100% certain about these Vols. Obviously, the game's a little bit closer than some might think. But yeah, I think you guys do agree with me that they need to prove. They need to prove themselves. So let's see what happens. But wow. I guess we'll find out Saturday. Will it be 3 bad weeks of playing football? Or will the Vols redeem themselves and fix some of these key issues? We'll find out Saturday. Hey, Morrison, how can people watch the game?
Tennessee will take on UTSA this Saturday at 4 o'clock on the SEC Network. It will be Dave Neal, Derek Mason, and Taylor Davis on the call Saturday.
Okay. Very good.
So,
All right, everyone, listen, that's going to do it for us tonight. Be sure to join David Morrison this Tuesday. This podcast will be released on Tuesday. We're recording on a Monday. So by the time you're listening to this, listen again that evening, Tuesday evening, to David Morrison on our Facebook page, our YouTube page, our Twitter page, wherever you like to be. He's going to be on there live for Vol Society Live at 8 p.m. Eastern. Hey, this is where you guys get to chime in, ask your questions. David's going to read them out loud. He's going to give you shout outs. It's your time to shine, folks. So be sure to join us for Vol Society Live. We had another great turnout last week during the live show, and we hope to see you there again tomorrow night, Tuesday, 8 p.m. From all of us here at Good Old Rocky Talk, I say good night and go Vols.